Reportedly, there's a group in deep negotiations with the Glazers to buy the football club, and Turkey has doubled down on this, saying it's true. There's a few media outlets now saying that there's discussions and there's a potential plan going ahead. None of the major journalists have completely shut it down yet, which does give me a little bit of hope. But how do you view this, Staffy? Overall, is this something you're excited about? Are you concerned about the way the news has come out? Do you think we're being taken for a ride? What was your gut telling you about this news?
Well, first of all, I was on the phone with Don last night, and he had no idea that happened. And I was like, no, it didn't happen. He was like, no, it's fake. Da, 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 da. I was like, bro, Turkish Sheikh tweeted that. He has no reason to sit here and clickbait. He's not like us. He's not looking for Twitter engagement. The guy has like 7.5. Well, he had 7.5 million followers by the time I saw it. And I saw it, and I was like, wait, let me click on his account just to make sure this is the same guy. And for people who don't know him, I think he's the minister of sports in Saudi Arabia. I mean, when you talk about rich people, I feel like this guy, I always feel like I see him involved in anything. WWE, boxing, UFC. He's just involved in every sporting event that occurs in that region, and especially in Saudi Arabia. And for him for me to see that, I was just very confused at first. I was like, wait, what correlation does he have with this? But then you just gotta educate yourself a little bit about the region and his involvements in sports and in entertainment in general and all that stuff. And even though he did come out the next day and said, just to clarify, I'm not the investor, neither is the investor from my nationality, it comes out that it's a Emirati consortium, as you said. And, you always say that, Terry, and I mean, it should be common knowledge anyways. There's not a lot of billionaires that exist in this world, so they all know each other. If anything major that big happens in that region, whether it's a Qatari takeover or Emirati or Saudi, they'll all know, bro. They all speak to each other. They all know that what goes on, and if anything goes on in that region. And for him to come out and leak that, I don't think he has any reason to be lying. And as you said, the fact that no one came out and denied it right away or shut it down, I think to me that was bigger than anyone else coming out and speaking, because sometimes they say silence is bigger than words or stronger than words, and that's how I took that silence. No David Ornstein, no Ben Jacobs, no what's his name, Fabrizio Romano, no one from the bigger outlets come out and said, yeah, this is absolute bullshit. And there's no reason for anyone to come out and say it anyways, because I do believe it's true. Now, whether it happens or not, obviously, to answer your question, because that was your initial question, am I excited? Hell yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, I'm happy, and I hope it does happen, because it feels like we're getting a second chance at what we failed at the first time. Whether you think Sheikh Jassim was AI, like they were saying, or maybe he's not. Yeah, remember that? Like they were like, has everyone ever seen him in public? All the stuff that happened, whether his funds were verified or the bid that they were about to launch, was it real or not? All that bullshit. Seems like we have a second chance to get all this to happen again. And listen, we've already seen what Emirati takeover does for a football club, especially in the Premier League, when they took over a much smaller club in Manchester City back in 2008. And they did that. Now, from my belief, that was, well, not my belief, from my knowledge, that was more of the Abu Dhabi. If you guys don't know what the United Arab Emirates is, it's 7 Emirates. One of them is Abu Dhabi, which is the biggest one. I believe this consortium would be more out of Dubai. So it would be, they're from the same country, but not exactly the same people. But if we get anything close to what Man City had, we're in for good times, because these guys, not only are they rich, they really do care for what they invest in. They like to run their businesses the best way. And I'll be honest, for how rich they are, I don't think they're trying to take over Man United in the aspect of like, oh, we just want to make more money. These guys are way too rich already. I'm not saying they're going to take over and say, oh, let's just lose money and all that shit. No, that's what I'm saying. But I believe their best interest in this takeover at United would just to make them a great club again, to just be running one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world, and, just take pride of what they're doing with this club. Because if you look at Turkish Sheikh's tweet when he came out and said, I heard about the investment or and he was like, I hope that the new investor is better than the old ones, which just shows you already what his intentions are, because it seems like he's a United fan. But if the people that want to take over are anything near as I mean, have any similar interest as he does, which is basically saying, I hope they make the club good again, then we'll be in good hands, man. I hope it does happen, though.
I'm going to come to you in a second, Dodd. Just as it's United, I just wanted to add something on that. Simon Stone.
Yeah, we want to hear your opinion, obviously. You're a United fan.
Yeah. I mean, look, Simon Stone kind of played it down yesterday, and there's been a few people, including Jacobs, that have said Man United have denied all knowledge. But then you have to read into it more. That's Ineos's response. And Ineos do have no knowledge of this because Ineos won't be consulted. There is a drag along clause that has nothing to do with Ineos in the sense of if us three right now, I won the Euro Millions, won 100 million, I stuck it in some crypto, and now I've got 10 billion. If we go, guys, let's all go. I know I've got 4 billion, Staffy's got 5 billion, and so's Donald. We go, we're going to buy Man United. Theoretically, we could knock on the Glazers' door and say, there's 5.5 billion. Will you accept the bid? If they say yes, we then trigger it. Ineos just get their cut. And they can't stop it from going through because of the drag-along clause. So when people have said, "Oh no, Simon Stone and others have said United have said they have no knowledge of this," that's because the people currently running Man United day to day, the board, the CEO, Ineos people, and the UAE's consortium have no need to contact them. It's not even a disrespect thing. If you want to buy United today outright, you still have to go to the Glazers because they hold the control on that. So. And listen, a few people have said, "But Ineos be pissed off." I did the numbers based on what they've invested and what they spent on the club. If 5.5 billion comes in, they walk away in 18 months making £250 million profit. I think they'll be all right, if that makes sense. Imagine making £250 million profit in 18 months. And they haven't done that much. They've done bits, but there we go. So, yeah, look, I'm excited about the prospect of it. But I have to say, boys, my feet are so firmly on the ground, and my attitude, we don't know who it is from the UAE yet. So one thing I don't want to do is go, I'm happy with whoever it is. We might find out who it is and look at their track record and go, fucking hell, we don't want them, right? That could happen theoretically. I will give, if this goes through, they'll get the same treatment from me that Ineos got, which is it's going to take a good few years to fix this. I'm going to give you time. I'm going to, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make it a problem. That'll be a problem, but I'm going to give you some time to fix it. The one thing about somebody from that region of the world buying it outright is you would expect the debt gone. The debt being gone means you can speed up that process of getting better, because if we had no transfer debt and we had no bank debt, it's likely in the last 3 windows that Ineos have had, we might have spent 300 to 400 million pound more due to our income. Therefore, you can buy the players you need quicker. So you should speed that process up. But I need to keep my feet on the ground because they say like the hope kills you. I don't want to get too excited about this. What I'm really waiting for is an Ornstein update, a Fabrizio, maybe something directly from the Glazers where they say we are in conversations with potential new buyers. I think that will then change everybody's mood. But what I will say about the Turkey Al-Sheikh is I know who he is. I watch boxing. I don't watch the WWE, but I know he's involved in that. I've watched a lot of the boxing events that he's put on. I've listened to him speak about sports in the past. Comes across to me like a very genuine guy that loves his sports. What they've done with Riyadh season, if anybody's watched any of the events connected to it, they're amazing. The first tweet, maybe it could have just been a bit tongue-in-cheek. He heard a rumor. The second update where he doubled down, you're like, this ain't someone messing around. This is something he knows. I know he's not looking for credibility. He's not looking to be in the know, so it isn't someone clout chasing. But equally, he is a Man United fan, and I don't think he would have put out a second tweet if this was just bullshit. Whether it happens or not, because the one thing with the Glazers, they could get offered 6 billion today. It's $500 million over their asking price. Say yes, and then a week go, no, we want 8 now, and then it all falls apart because they're fucking greedy bastards. But overall, I think there's some credibility to it. I hope it happens, because it could be the game changer that we need. Removing that debt is the biggest thing, and it appears this consortium want to do it.
Yeah, but I haven't actually read into it then, Terry. Like, what is this then? So is it because like similar to Chelsea, right? Chelsea have a consortium with like Todd Bowley, you've got Clear Lake, you've got there's a guy called billionaire called like Reese in there as well, who's kind of part of that consortium. Are these guys trying to buy out the Glazers, or are they trying to basically buy their way into the club and make a bit of a board, like a board?
If you read into the tweet, for him to say, I hope they're better than the old owners, it just shows me that's going to be more than just a minority investor. Because I thought about that too. I was like, but why would he say, I hope he's better than the old owners? And I feel like that kind of gives it away. So it's not a confirmation, but you can kind of read you can understand from
but then if you can read it another way though as well, because Ineos have come in and the Glazers are in charge, but there's not really much heat on them because Ineos are the ones that are in charge of all the footballing operations. So these guys could come in and Glazers could still be the top dogs, but they could have control of football operations themselves. But obviously the Glazers still own the club.
So are you suggesting the new people are going to be just another Ineos where they come in, take minority, but maybe they'll run the football? Because I don't think that's
I haven't read into it to say. I'm asking you.
No, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Because if that was the case, number one, why would the Glazers do that again? Number two, I'm pretty sure when the takeover happened, well, not the takeover, I shouldn't say that, but when the minority purchase happened 18 months ago, whenever it was, and they already agreed that the minute we take over that whatever stake that they took over, now we're gonna be the ones who are running the football operations. I don't think they could go back on that unless a complete majority sale was done, because now that takes you out of being the big dog, basically, which is the Glazers.
Yeah, and I'd have to read the clause again, but the drag-along clause, I think, only comes into play if it's a full purchase. And I say that I have in some of my businesses, I have drag-along clauses that I'm very comfortable with, because the people that in one of the estate agents businesses I part own, the people that invested into us, they're part of a much bigger portfolio, and my plan is that if someone comes in to try and buy their entire portfolio, and like a massive real estate company, we kind of get swept up in that, and there's an opportunity to go, how much for my business? Take my money. But they're out there kind of, I ain't got the time to go out there and try and sell my business, but they're kind of doing it on my behalf. And I do that with a few things that I do. So drag along clauses are very, very normal, but typically therefore a drag along for the sale of the whole company as opposed to the sale of some shares. But why is it a consortium? I mean, you have to, I want to be careful how I say this, but I'm just gonna have to say it. I'm only going by what I've been told by people from the Middle East and people like Hassan as an example. Everything in those countries, all the businesses, all the major banks are all owned by the royal families. Am I pretty accurate in saying that, Staffy? That most things, if you go, although PIF own 85% of Newcastle, in reality, PIF is owned by the royal family. But they kind of create companies and consortiums to sort of not hide it because it isn't dodgy, but it's a way of separating it. But in reality, it's still owned by the royal family, but they have to create it in a way because football clubs can't be state owned. So essentially there is this consortium of PIF, there is RB Sports and Media, the Reuben family as an example, and there's a few others that kind of filter into it. But essentially, it's the people at the top of PIF and the people that own PIF in Saudi that really do control the football club. This, in my opinion, will be very similar. It will be a member of potentially the Dubai royal family. They won't be able to own the club outright because of the way the rules work. So a consortium will be created where an investment company of some sort, one that probably already exists, will be, in the end, would be the 85% shareholder. Then there'll be some others, because they've gone out to some club legends. You might find a David Beckham gets involved and owns 2.5%. You might find someone like a Michael B. Jordan buys 5%. They kind of do this. They create this kind of structure. That way it gets through the fit and proper persons test. Otherwise, they often reject it. That's why it took Newcastle 2 years now to kind of build that structure. So I might be getting some of that slightly wrong, and I hope people don't take it in an offensive way, because I saw Newcastle fans going, no, we're not owned by the royal family of Saudi. And I always remember Sam going, I'm from the Middle East. Everything in all these countries is owned by the royal family. You can't not be. So that's why it will be a consortium, where in reality, there'll be one person that is really calling the shots, but they'll kind of build a structure around it. So I don't think anybody from that region, and I will say this, with experience as well, they're not going to give the Glazers a couple of £1 billion and then sit there and make them more money. They're going to say, we buy that. That's why the Qataris didn't offer what Ineos did to own a part of it, because the Qataris aren't interested in spending $1 billion and then making £250 million profit in a few years. They want to own it. They want to make it amazing again. So I'd be very surprised if that was the case, Don, to be fair.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, exactly. If that's the case, then Terry, let me ask you actually first of all, yeah. If that's the case, that you feel that the Glazers won't want to, more investment in that sense, and would want to just be bought out. Do you see that happening, bro? Do you see these guys buying out the Glazers?
I look at
a lot of people were confident before that was going to happen.
Well, look, I look at it this way. I'm not sitting here I'm overly confident because of what's happened in the past. The one thing, my only criticism of the Qataris, and a lot of people blamed Ineos and said, oh, if the Ineos wouldn't have offered them a part option, they might have accepted the low bid, because everyone's bids were a low balling. The Glazers wanted over 5 billion, and I think the max they got offered was like 4.2. My view was, well, no, it was no disrespect, but just pay the Glazers what they want, because they were never going to sell it at that amount for the reasons the last 18 months have shown. We've cleared the crap from the club. The club's now going to start moving into almost making profit, which is great from a business perspective. And now the plans for the redevelopment of the area and the new stadium has gone through. That instantly makes the football club more valuable. The new TV deal monies are being negotiated. They're going to be announced soon. That makes every Premier League club more valuable. So I think there's this element now where potential investors will look at it and say, yep, they want 5.5 billion. Because also the Glazers won't take for 5 billion and then pay the debts off with it. They're going to say, well, if you want us to pay all the debts off, you're going to have to pay us 5.6 billion. And then we'll use that extra. So, because they're not going to use any of their own money to pay off the Glazers. They'll never do that.
Exactly.
What they have to look at, these investors, is this. Even if United remain a team that's mid-table to Europa League level, we've still just had record-breaking revenues. The new stadium will happen, I think, with or without a new full owner. That's going to make us more valuable, especially because the area surrounding it is going to go up. We're going to own more land in that area. All that's going to happen for anyone else who wants to buy us is we're going to go from costing 5 billion to costing 6 billion to costing 8.
Exactly. And this is the thing, though, Terry. The Glazers,
it's almost like now, right? Now or never. Not now or never, but it's now at 5 billion, but maybe in 6 years at 8-9 billion, and that's a lot of money.